Welcome to the New Mom Talk podcast, your go-to podcast for evidence-based answers to your burning questions about parenting. Join us as we dive into commonly Googled topics and hear from experts and real moms. Let's navigate parenthood together, one question at a time. Hi, everyone. Today we have Chloe Ward, and we're going to talk about mineral intake and why that's important postpartum. So definitely not a topic that I would have known about or thought about. So I'm so excited to have Chloe on here. Chloe, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and your business, and then we'll just dive straight into it.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me here today. And I am really excited to talk about minerals because they're super important. And just kind of like what you were saying, not a lot of people know about them or what they are and why they're important. So I'm excited to dig deeper on that. But like you said, my name is Chloe Ward, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner as well as a certified integrative nutrition health coach. And so I primarily help busy women, mainly moms, but also some who are not moms yet as well. But I help them to reclaim their energy, conquer weight loss hurdles, and really just manage stress effectively. And I do that by using a combination of functional lab testing as well as lifestyle assessments and nutrition principles. And by doing this, I'm able to uncover just a bunch of different imbalances and dysfunctions within your body systems. And this is something that I'm super passionate about because I over the last decade have struggled with a lot of health issues. And so from things like infertility to chronic fatigue syndrome to hypothyroidism to mold toxicity and even a vocal cord disorder. This is something that I'm just so passionate about. And when I was really going through the majority of my health issues, I really felt alone and like I was the only one who was dealing with this. And it felt really isolating. It was really frustrating, really sad, really expensive. And I just felt really lost. And now looking back on it, there's so many things that I wish I would have known and done differently. And so, although I obviously wish these things wouldn't have happened to me, I'm on one hand somewhat grateful for them because now they allow me to help other women and moms and families who are experiencing the same thing. So that's kind of how I got into the functional health world, and minerals and balancing minerals were a really big component in my health journey as well.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's kind of like, yeah, sometimes you go through these challenges that kind of lead you into a space that you probably wouldn't have gone otherwise, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not the same, but I would have never created a parenting podcast unless I had my son, which is like why I created it because I had my son and I saw a need, but otherwise it wouldn't have made sense for me. And yeah, you kind of like just learn as you go. So I'll start off with if you can just share a little bit about what is mineral intake? Like, what does that mean and why is that important?
Yes. So minerals are very, very important, and they are needed for just thousands of enzymatic functions in our body. Yet, when you go to most practitioners, they're often overlooked and they're not even really brought up or discussed. And minerals are really important because they play a role in our bone health, our muscle function, our nerve transmission, our hormone regulation. And then they also provide us with really valuable insights into things like our thyroid and our adrenals and our metabolic function of our body at a cellular level. And when we don't have an adequate amount of minerals, our body just can't function optimally. And that can lead to a lot of potential health issues and imbalances and just not a very well overall well-being, which we don't want. And so they're super important. And I feel like they're kind of the star of the show, but they're often overlooked. And so a lot of people have mineral imbalances from a lot of different things. And they don't even know about it until they kind of start to dig deeper. And I know for me personally, I saw a lot of Western medicine doctors. I had all these symptoms, they weren't getting better. And it's really when I started to dive into the functional health aspect of things and researching different topics, and minerals came up. And it was something that I had honestly never even heard of before. And I knew kind of what minerals were and that they were kind of important, but I didn't know just how important they really were, especially for moms in their postpartum era.
Well, I don't, like I said, I've never thought of it. I don't think I've ever heard of this being like something that you need to consider or think about. So the fact that you mentioned that it's also very important for moms, like it's fascinating, right? Because during your postpartum, you're really just in survival mode, sleep deprived, you're just trying to
Yeah.
get through the day. It's like, how much sleep can I get, right? So that being said, first, if we can start off with why is this important for moms postpartum, and then we can dive into like any supports that you have or ways to increase the mineral intake.
Yes. So obviously when you are pregnant, or even before you're pregnant, if you're trying to get pregnant and then when you are pregnant and then postpartum, you have so many hormone fluctuations. Things are all over the place and your body is just not how it normally would function.
Lots
And
of
when you're
tears.
Yes, a lot of tears. And when you are pregnant, obviously a lot of the resources in your body, they go towards growing and helping keep your fetus healthy. And all of your reserves then start to get depleted. And then when you have the baby, you're focused on recovering and producing breast milk and making sure your baby is healthy and thriving. And so we often spend so much time as moms neglecting our health because we're so busy taking care, as we naturally would, of this newborn little baby. And even if they're not a newborn, even when your kid, is 1 or 2 years old, 3, 4, I have a 6 and 7 year old, you're always constantly taking care of this other human being. And so we so often, like I said, we neglect ourselves. And it's really easy, especially as moms, when we're doing a million different roles, to overlook our health and wellness. And if we are not getting enough of the proper nutrients, if our body is not able to absorb and digest these nutrients, it's really going to lead to a lot of health issues down the road. And so I have a lot of women that come to me with debilitating fatigue, with really heightened anxiety and stress and depression, or they're unable to lose the, remaining 15 pounds that they gained during pregnancy. And a lot of that has to do with your mineral intake, because if you are not absorbing the correct nutrients you need, and you're also not sleeping, so your body can't repair, and if you're not able to digest the food you're eating, and your hormones are through the roof and whatnot, you're not going to be able to function properly. And that is so common just with individuals in general, but especially with moms. And I would say, especially really that first year postpartum is when things are really fluctuating. You go from growing a baby, giving birth, sometimes people get their cycles back, other times they don't. And then depending on what complications you have going on, your support system, your lifestyle, your stress levels, that really impacts your mineral status as well, also. And so for moms in general, and like I said, people in general, it's really important that you get your mineral levels tested and you know where they are at, because when our levels are balanced, we have improved sleep, we have better energy levels, our immune system is functioning properly. We have things like healthier hair and nails and skin and just overall well-being. And for moms, these minerals are also going to support our postpartum recovery by aiding in the tissue repair and, again, with our hormone regulation.
Well, lots of things that you like, you know that all of these obviously go into place and they all support one another, but it's so hard to balance it all when you are a new mom or you recently had a baby, whether it's your first, second, third, whatever. Like it's so hard to manage it all. That being said, what are benefits to increasing your intake? And then if you could also just share some ways to get more of that. Like how can a mom get more of their mineral intake?
Are you ready to dive deep into the ebbs and flows of motherhood from preconception to postpartum and everything in between? Hi, I'm Hannah Gill, VBAC mom, doula, birth educator, and host of Motherhood Flow. Join me as we explore empowering birth stories, personal insights, and expert interviews covering topics like VBAC preparation, pregnancy wellness, and navigating the joys and challenges of motherhood. Whether you're preparing for your own journey of becoming a mom, wanting to learn more about VBAC, or you're looking for support and inspiration along the way, Motherhood Flow has you covered. This is your space to walk through birth and motherhood on your terms, ensuring you're not just going with the flow, but being an active participant in your own story. Subscribe to Motherhood Flow now on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah. So in general, really focusing on eating a balanced diet. So you want to have a diet that's going to be really rich in like organic whole foods and vegetables and fruits and whole grains and lean proteins. Also, water intake, having water or adequate water intake is going to be really important. And then the type of water you have. So are you having tap water? Are you having filtered water? That's going to be really important. Our body needs to be hydrated to help us with cellular function, as well as also, if you're nursing, obviously produce breast milk. It also helps us stay hydrated and have good skin elasticity. So that's really important. And then another big one is sleep, which I know can be really, really hard, especially if you're a new mom or a mom of multiples, but really prioritizing it as much as you can when the opportunity presents itself is going to be really crucial. And then there's other things you can do just to really see where your levels are. And that's where functional lab testing comes in. There's a lab called the hair tissue mineral analysis. And that's what I use with all of my clients. And you send off a sample of your hair, and it'll give a 3 to 4 month reading of the minerals that are being excreted through your hair. And so when we get that lab result back, we're able to see what you're deficient in, what you have excess amounts of, what heavy metals are in the body. And so just through that alone, you're really able to see, okay, this is why I'm having skin breakouts. And this is why I'm super stressed out. And this is why I'm not able to lose the weight, because my metabolism is going slow or too fast. And, this is why I have no energy. And so it's a really awesome lab that provides a lot of insight as what's going on at the cellular level. So those are some just really basic generic recommendations. There's so many other things you can do, but again, I try not to overwhelm my clients as moms. It's already stressful and overwhelming enough. And so if you just stick to the basics, eating healthy, prioritizing sleep and stress and getting outdoors and getting in that exercise when you can, those are things that are going to be super important and really help with your mineral intake as well.
So I kind of hear a little bit of like that self-care piece, essentially, like give yourself that time to get outside, get that fresh air, move your body, sleep, whatever that is. I'll find out eventually.
It will happen. It took a while, but my kids are 6 and 7 now, and they sleep through the night, and it's a beautiful thing.
Are there any limitations to consider or any like downsides if you do, or for those that are wanting to increase their intake?
Yes. So while minerals are very essential, you want to make sure that you know where your levels are and what you're taking. So you don't want to like blindly just take a supplement because someone on Instagram or TikTok is talking about it and it helped them, lose all this weight and have their hair grow and all these amazing benefits. Because while that might work for you, we all have very different bio individual needs. And so one man's food is another man's poison. And so you really want to know what your deficiencies are and what you specifically need for your body, because you don't want to take something that you think is helping, but then end up having a reaction to it because your body might have enough of where it's at, or it might have too little, but then it's affecting something else. And when certain minerals that you take, if you take too much of them, it can have adverse effects and it can lead to toxicity or things like bloating or diarrhea, constipation, stuff like that. So we really just want to make sure that what we are taking, we know that our body needs it and not just blindly guessing. So always testing, not guessing at what you need.
Finally, my last question. Any other tips, suggestions, or recommendations for anyone where this may be like little light bulb, or they're wanting to look more into it, or maybe they are already doing this?
Yeah, definitely. So I know for me, like I mentioned earlier, when I first, went through all my health struggles, was a new time mom, I just felt so alone and so isolated. And there's so much information online, and everything was conflicting and overwhelming and expensive. And if I could give any advice, it would be just focus on the basics. Like I mentioned earlier, getting massages are great. They're relaxing. Getting a pedicure, I haven't had one in years, but when I was getting them, I love them. Same with going and getting a new outfit or whatever that might be. That is all a great form of self-care, but realistically, that's not feasible for everyone. So I want people to always focus on what they can crowd out and what they can crowd in as well. So making time for self-care should be a non-negotiable. And like I said, it doesn't have to be something expensive or big. It can be taking a Epsom salt bath at the end of the night, or going outside first thing in the morning to get the sun and vitamin D and help regulate our circadian rhythm, or going on a walk with your pet and your kids, or making your favorite home cooked meal, just really finding things that bring you joy and that you can consistently do. And I know those newborn days when you first come home from the hospital, really the first month, that can be really hard to do. And that's when having a really good support system is super important. So whether that be your friends, your family, through people through your other kids' school or church, like really not hesitating to reach out for help when we need it, because I know I'm personally so stubborn and I don't like asking for help, but that's something that over the years I've learned I have to do. I love helping others. And so, really reminding myself it's okay to not be perfect and not be able to do everything, and ask for help when we need it. And whether that be telling your significant other, I need you to take the kids so I can take a bath, or I need you to watch them so I can go to the store and shop in peace, or I need you to make dinner tonight because I'm so burnt out from everything, being the personal chauffeur and the chef and the coach and everything we are for our children. And so really just asking for help when we need it, and then not forgetting the basics. So our diet, our rest, our exercise, our stress reduction, and our sleep. Those are all going to be things that we have control of, even if it doesn't feel like it at times, but we do. And when we make time for those, it becomes easier, and we set ourselves up to be successful and better partners, better parents, and just better in general for ourselves. And so I know that can be really hard and it's easier said than done, but once you start to kind of find that rhythm and ask for help and implement those things and just make them non-negotiables, and then, start to do targeted testing and work with, a health coach that has experience with these types of things, it can be really life-changing. And when you figure out what you're deficient in and you start to get your energy back and you start to lose weight and the anxiety, goes away and you start to get better sleep, your life is going to be so different and you're going to be such a better parent and partner, like I said. And so just really remember, like, it's the small sustainable shifts in lifestyle and nutrition that lead the most profound impact. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you really have to take things one day at a time and strive for that progress and not that perfection, because we're not perfect people. We're not going to be, but we want to set ourselves up so we can be present and be the best mom and partner and whatever role that might be for us and our family, whether that's extended or internally just within our household. So those are some of my biggest tips: the diet, the rest, the exercise, the stress reduction, the sleep. All of those are really going to help moms postpartum, and whether that's a month from having a baby or they're 6 or 7 or 8, even 10, 15 years in their postpartum phase, because you're always postpartum after you have a kid. It's not just you're postpartum for 1 month or 1 year. You're always postpartum. And if you don't address mineral deficiencies or your gut health or your hormonal imbalances, they're only going to get worse, and they're only going to prolong and lead to other effects on the body. So it's super important to address all of that, especially if you feel off and you feel like you've done everything that you can, but you still don't feel healthy and well and normal.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of that. I feel like a lot of what you said just really makes me think of, like, you got to be able to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your kids, right? Because if you're not well cared for or paying attention to your needs, like, how can you do that for somebody else that depends on you?
Exactly. It's like that analogy in the airplane. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others,
Yeah, yeah, which is so bizarre. Like, when you think of it from like a mom's or just a parent's standpoint, like, no, I have to like care and give and give and give, and you do that so much for your little ones that you definitely kind of put yourself and your needs in the back burner. So it's hard to come to and realize you kind of need to put them at the front in order for those other ones to really line up and fall into place.
Yeah, it's hard to find that balance for sure, but that's when the asking for help part comes in, whether that's seeing a therapist or hiring a health coach or getting help with a babysitter or whatever that might be, postpartum doula. Like, you have to do that stuff to help you be the best version of yourself and then show up as that best version for your other family members as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time and sharing your knowledge on this, something that, like I said, I don't feel like is ever really talked about. So I'm excited for everyone to learn.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Minerals are amazing. And once you start, going down the rabbit hole and researching them and you get tested and you see what you're deficient in and you address that, it's really life-changing. And it's something that I wish was talked about more in, the Western medicine, but I'm hoping that one day down the road it does become more well known, because it truly is life-changing when your minerals are balanced and you feel good and you have vitality and energy. And who wouldn't want that? I wouldn't want to have fatigue all day and crippling anxiety and just digestive issues and not being able to be a present parent for my children. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want that, and I think most people don't want that either.
Yeah. Very true. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for our next episode. You can find us on Instagram for more updates and tips. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a review if you like us.